Hey guys, it's Krystle again with a new video, and today I'm going to be discussing the ECs that got me into Columbia University. I will die on the hill that it was my extracurricular activities that got me into Columbia, just above anything else. But at the same time, I don't think I did anything that can't really be replicated by someone else or that someone else can't use to help them figure out what to do with their own interests and situations. So long as that someone was armed with the knowledge that I had to learn through trial and error. Lots and lots of errors. Please know that none of this video is meant to be me bragging about what I did in high school or anything like that. Everything that I achieved because I played a numbers game. I've experienced plenty of rejections and failures, believe me, and every success that I had was matched by at least a 1-to-1 ratio of rejection. But it's my hope that this video can help you guys just bypass all that and get right to the fun part. Because it really can be fun. I truly enjoyed every activity that I did in high school. I was thankfully never forced into anything. I didn't do anything solely for the purpose of getting into college. I never really did anything that I absolutely hated just because I thought that I should for some arbitrary reason. Obviously, there were times that were way more stressful than others, and that's just always going to be a fact of life, but at the same time, I was very passionate about everything I did, and that carried me through those tough times. That's what I would beg all of you to do too. Just dive as deeply as you can into whatever it is you're interested in and that you actually like to do with all the resources available to you. And if you think that you're going to get into college by following some prescribed path, like what your brother did or your friend or your cousin's aunt's best friend's dog's nephew did, that's not the way to do it. You will be much happier and more successful by traditional metrics, including college acceptances, if you just do what you love instead of what you think colleges are going to love. So, you guys ready? Let's go. I'm so sorry. That was terrible. So I like to think of the extracurricular activities I did in high school as being separated into 3 sections. So music-related activities, writing-related activities, and stuff I did for my school community. There's some intersection between those 3, but for the most part they fit neatly into those categories. So for the sake of organization, I'll stick pretty much to that outline in this video. So first of all, we have the music-related activities, and first and foremost of those that I listed on my Common App were, well, just playing music. So I've played the harp since I was, I want to say 11 years old, and so by the time I got to high school, I had been able to play long enough to have built up some experience and use that experience to win some key competitions that allowed me to perform at venues like Lincoln Center, Carnegie Hall, and of all things, the Metropolitan Museum of Art. That was a fun experience. But the thing is, I didn't necessarily have to be the most amazing musician in the whole world to get these accolades. The thing is, I was rejected from plenty of music contests and opportunities and scholarships and all that fun stuff. Obviously, I had to put in a ton of work and effort and practice time just to hone my skills as much as possible, but I didn't have to be a child prodigy. I was good, but I wasn't unprecedentedly phenomenal. Still, just by playing a rare instrument, I was able to have a lot of opportunities that I never would have maybe in a more saturated market like the piano or violin. I know I'm calling out a lot of you guys, but I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, I'm sure. So I was really fortunate in that there were several circumstances that allowed playing the harp to be much more affordable and accessible to me than it can be at times for a lot of people. So please don't think that you have to copy anything I did, especially, playing the harp, this gigantic, strange instrument. You definitely don't have to do that or anything else specifically to get into the college of your choice. I've been playing music since I was 5. I started with piano, so way before I even knew what the Ivy League was. However, by the time application season rolled around, I knew that if I was going to sell myself as best I could, it would be pretty awesome if I could include the harp, this pretty unusual EC, as a little bit of a hook. So I checked Columbia's website and I saw that they actually needed a harpist for their orchestra, and that was how I knew I was really going to be pushing the harp on my application. Finally, on the topic of the harp, I also, throughout high school, I periodically played for this organization called the Ashley Lauren Foundation. They're a great organization. You can look them up. They help children with cancer, and I had just played the harp at a few of their different events over the years where they would have like fundraising balls and that kind of thing, and it was all a very classy affair, and they wanted a harpist for the guests who were paying a lot of money to charity to help these children. I found out a lot of these opportunities through my harp teacher, who had memberships in different organizations that host music competitions and scholarships and that sort of thing. So if there's any takeaway here, it's that your teachers within and outside of school can be hotbeds of information and just opportunities in general, so you just have to ask them. So harp was definitely kind of this huge thing that I based my application around, but solo performance was really just a small part of that. I had also played in multiple orchestras and symphonies and other kinds of organizations, so I put each of those on my application as well. First and foremost, I had played for a time with the New Jersey Youth Symphony, and because that was the state symphony, it sounded really good, that kind of thing, I put that first on the list. And then I also had a couple of other youth orchestras, one of which was a registered organization with the President's Volunteer Service Award, where basically you do enough hours of volunteer work with an organization and you get a bronze medal for, like, I want to say 200 hours, silver medal for more hours, gold medal for more hours, that kind of thing. And they were licensed with this organization because they played at like cancer benefits and cultural events, and so I put in enough hours to get the bronze award. So then we have the more writing-related activities, and just like with music, the first of these was literally just writing, since I had been writing and publishing my stories and poems and things since I was about 12 years old, when I had a short story published in Stone State magazine for young writers and artists. That was a pivotal moment for me, and since then I've also had publications in places like Cicada Magazine, Imagine Magazine, and the Encyclopedia of American Myths, Legends, and Tall Tales, which was a pretty big deal for me because in association with writing for that encyclopedia, I was able to go to the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Rights, where I got to hear from peoples of Mexico and New Zealand and the Netherlands speak on the issues that Indigenous peoples face today, which was a very meaningful experience and something totally huge and just unprecedented that came from literally just writing an article from Encyclopedia. And then I had also won a few awards for my writing. Like, I won 2 national gold medals from the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards, and I was a 2-time winner in the Embracing Our Differences competition, which is open to students and teachers and just people all over the world. I had also applied and been accepted to some summer programs for creative writing, like the Iowa Young Writers Studio and the Kenyon Review Young Writers Workshop. Now, applying and being accepted and having these awards and things, they represented validation on my Common App for the people reading it. So obviously I sent in a portfolio of my creative writing, I sent in a portfolio of my music as well, but for both of those artistic endeavors, what I think was really important is that I had been judged by people before the admissions officers who may or may not have really enjoyed the quality of my work, art being so subjective and all of that. So maybe if they didn't enjoy a short story I wrote, say, that I included on my portfolio, they would have seen, oh, but she got this award on it, or that kind of thing. And because of that, they were able to know that I had been judged before by people who were competent in their fields, and so they didn't have to do all that work they would have had to do otherwise. And that was very much my intention when I was applying to all these publications and contests and summer opportunities. I had also been accepted to the Telluride Association summer program for creative writing that summer specifically. They have seminars that change each year, and I go into more detail about that in my last video. I was also the president of my school's literature club from 8th grade to 12th grade, since my school starts in 7th grade, and I became president just kind of by a fluke because in 7th grade, when I joined the school, I was part of the literature club, and it definitely wasn't about writing at all, so I decided that I wanted to lead a creative writing club for my school. But when I approached the faculty, they said, just take over leadership of the literature club. Its former president just graduated. So I did, and I kind of changed things up a little bit. I made it a lot more creative writing oriented, and we had weekly meetings, and it was a really fun time. But one other thing that I inherited when I became the president was editorship of the annual literature journal, which is like this gigantic publication for my school that hovered around like 100 pages of all the creative writing of the students who wanted to be featured in it. So I had to put that together each year. And I had to do that basically all by myself, which was kind of a harrowing task, but in the end, I was able to say on my applications that I was the sole editor of this publication, and because of that, I was able to look, I would say, pretty good on my college applications, which obviously is the only reason why anyone does anything ever, right? So finally, we get to the section on positions I held within my school community. Now, when I work with my clients, I honestly don't prioritize school positions that highly just because so many of them can be based on non-objective metrics, like student government can be based on a popularity contest, and let's be honest, it almost always is. Also, if you think about it, there are thousands of schools in the United States, and almost every one of those, or at least the vast majority, has a valedictorian, salutatorian, student body president, and editor of the yearbook, and any number of other positions that are considered prestigious or evidence of leadership within that high school. So, marketing tactic or not, the top 10 or so colleges in the United States really like to brag about how many of those kids specifically they reject each year. That being said, I would definitely suggest including any school activities that are or were important to you to show that you already have a track record of making an impact in your community, which colleges will absolutely want to see. They want you to come to their campus and do it all over again, basically. For me, I included that I was a student ambassador, peer tutor, and teaching associate at my school because these were all positions that I had to be nominated for and that sort of thing. Personally, I asked my teachers to nominate me for the position of student ambassador and peer tutor for several different classes, and my teachers were happy to. Asking a teacher to nominate you for a position, even if it's outside of your school, if it's that kind of thing, doesn't mean that they never would have thought of you otherwise, or that they didn't think you were going to be a good fit for the position if you have to ask and they didn't just nominate without you mentioning anything. It's just that so many teachers are so busy with grading and actually teaching that they might never think of nominating students. It might just never cross their mind. So sometimes you just kind of have to jog their memory a little bit, and there's absolutely no shame in that. For me, it worked out well. I had a wonderful time with those positions. They didn't take up much time at all, but they held some weight in my school, and as a result, they looked nice on my Common App. Overall, I think my biggest takeaway from my extracurricular experience is that what really worked for me was having just a couple of extracurriculars that I really focused on, like creative writing and music, and then having everything else I did be an offshoot of that or a leadership experience, and sometimes there was some intersection between those two. The bottom line is that whatever ECs you do or did in high school, you've got to sell them on your apps. You've got to highlight what you did in them, what piece of music you composed, or how much money you raised with that fundraiser, or what publication you and your club put out, or anything that shows that you're not just passively sitting in a meeting room for an hour a week for this club or that, and not creating anything new, not contributing to the world around you. Colleges aren't impressed if you just list a ton of unrelated clubs and don't explain what you did with them at all. So do what you love and have fun doing it, or just don't do it at all. But be sure to go into detail about why you love it, what kind of impact it had on your life, and what kind of impact you in turn made in that sphere. You can even use your Common App essay to go into more detail about a certain activity that you just loved and that was really meaningful to you, and those can often be the best essays that I've read personally. So there you guys have it! Jazz hands. I really poured my heart into my extracurriculars in high school, and they were, I think, just the highlight of my application by far. College applications are such an insanely stressful time, and sometimes it seems like everyone is trying to discover this secret to getting into their top colleges, but I promise if you can just do what you love and distinguish yourself in that field, you're going to do so much better than if you try and do what you think the colleges are looking for, and ultimately you'll be much more fulfilled and more ready for the real world as well. Bye. So, I just want to make sure that this video can help you guys. No, I don't like that. So, for the sake of for the sake of organization. And that's how I knew